So I'm going to have to say, welcome to Provide TV. I'm a little late, but we're coming in progress. And my guest today, always Julio Sanchez, which is my guest host. And then we got Marty Schuler, brother of James Schuler. But I'm just discovering, I didn't know you had that many fights myself either. 50, yeah, I mean, you know, so. And we're here in the Atlantic City, vibes here in Atlantic City. You know, this is an unusual time at the shore. The good thing about it, normally by this time, at least we start to have on long sleeves. And I want to wear shorts today, man. And then tomorrow it's going to be 90 degrees. And so I'm looking forward to
season.
Yeah, I say, I'm telling you, man, I'm looking forward to this nice warm weather. So it's been real nice here. But so welcome in on, if you're just tuning in on Provide. The other side of it is we're talking about boxing here in Atlantic City, but as well, and we're going to get ready to talk about Porter and Spence in a minute, but James was just Marty. I see I'm still, but that's all right because you know what? I've been Georgia for people 60 years, so
right.
I know the feeling. Yeah,
right.
But that's okay. Those are good names to be recognized with.
Yeah.
But Marty is telling us about his gym in Philadelphia that he has called the James Schuler Memorial Gym. Yeah. And you can go to the website if you're interested in going to find a place to work out. You got a young man, a kid that wants to come in and learn the art of self-defense. Or you as a woman, he says also.
That's right.
That, you come into the gym. So it's
women, kids.
James Schuler Memorial.
Marty Schuler's Bully Defense Academy.
Okay.
For kids and women. You know, come on out. Look it up. Get in touch.
James Schuler. We'll be mentioning it out from this time on. He's looking to start his first promotion here in December here at the Showboat. We're really excited about that because we're hoping to build back up the city of Atlantic City. Be part of
back to life.
Yeah,
it's coming back to life.
Prime time to do it.
Yeah, prime. This is a great time to do it. Yeah. And I'm hoping, matter of fact, I'm going to be making some calls next week to a couple of people. I spoke to Derek James. I know he doesn't have a lot to say about this, but there's an outside possibility. At least there will be a discussion about Garcia and Spence taking place here. Now, of course, we got to deal with the people up in New York.
It's tough that Spence just fought in a 23,000 seat arena. We don't have that.
We don't have that. But we'll walk all the whole 20. We can put
we're down to 13 now.
What happened when they shut it?
They re.
Oh, the revamp. Okay.
Unless they give us convention center, but I mean they can make it up on the pay-per-view back end. So.
Yeah. And the numbers came out. I wasn't surprised. They said the numbers was like 350,000. That don't quite.
But that
for those guys, it may have been okay.
That breaks another discussion for me though.
Okay, and what's that?
They split $4 million. They got $2 million apiece.
Not much money.
Darrell and Benavidez got $1 million apiece. So your 4 main guys on the card got a combined $6 million.
Right.
If they sold 300,000 homes at $70 a home.
Is that what it was? I didn't know how much it was.
That's over $25 million.
Okay.
You're not talking about no sponsors. You're not talking about no live gate. So at the end of the day, the main fighters, the meat and potatoes of the card, got less than 10% of the split.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, fighters are still being
underpaid.
Highway robbed.
Yeah, well, I mean,
everybody talks about how much money Al Heyman's fighters are making.
But I've said that all along because they don't know.
Yeah.
Julio, they don't follow the business like we do.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to follow this business. And I mean, when you break that 50% of that, the money you just say, half of it goes back to production, right? Mm-hmm. The television network. So that's, like you said, basically, if they picked up another $200,000 aside a guarantee, and for a fight like that, but I said going into this match, this is
$25 million, they get $6 before taxes.
Before taxes. Yeah. But I said this. Now, this is the problem, notoriety, right? About fighters. Nobody outside of boxing, and you and I talked about this last week, we knew about the guys, right? And because we followed the sport, but nobody else knew about these guys. Now,
why?
I blame this on the promotion. Two things.
Absolutely.
The promotion. They're not promoted because what has to happen, you look at, I remember when your brother fought Tommy, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody talked about it. Okay, television networks, everybody was there. But on top of that, you had shows like the Tonight Show, Johnny Carson, the CBS late night shows. Everybody had these guys on their shows. But there's no character here. I mean, look, if you say a guy from Philadelphia, right? then I got to talk to you about the Philadelphia story because why? Philadelphia has a history of fights.
That's it,
And so you said, okay, well, what guy did you? Well, I emulate whether it's Joe Frazier, whether it's Benny Briscoe, whether it's Willie Monroe, Frankie Benton, who was a great trainer, but guys that can't, Joey Giardello, any of those guys, just Robert Hines. I was going to get to Robert, Jeff Chandler. See, there's a history there that now when you start talking about these guys, Porter, okay, all right.
Yeah,
and Spence, but nobody knew him, so they didn't hit these late night shows. There's no character, and even when you start talking about the likes of like you had Muhammad, great promoter, Sugar Ray Leonard, George, Joe, Larry didn't even like to talk, and people still made him
even Tyson.
And Tyson was
he said, "I'm just going to be bizarre
and still be a superstar."
So,
and that's what it's so. And I mean, as you say, it's to blame the promoters because they didn't know how to do this. There's no way a fight this good should not have been seen by 500,000 to 1 million people.
See, I think you're being too nice. I don't even think it's that they don't know how to do it. I think as a fighter, I fought 4 professional times, and since I fought on a low level, I think it gave me an interesting look into the business side of the game. Because when you're a low level fighter, the promoter makes you promote the fight. And see, what happened was, I won't say the promoter's name, but I fought for a lower level promoter who was doing shows here in Philadelphia and Reading. But he would give you 50 posters and 100 tickets and tell you, all right, well, go out and get these posters hang, sell your tickets. And if you sell enough tickets, you're on the card. Well, then the fighters promoting the fight. And I think because promoters were doing that and it worked, it made the fighters got hungry and the promoters got lazy. So now all they had to do was sit back and say, listen, I'll just put you on the show. You get you guys get the ticket sold, and I'll just show up on the night of the fight and pay you guys. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, I mean, and that's the lower level, like you say. And Cordell Wade, yes, he is looking for fighters, he said. So if you got some fighters that he's, that may be interested, you can contact him at the gym. And maybe if you have some pros already or guys about to turn pro, contact Marty, and he'll be glad to talk to you about that and perhaps get him on the show come December, or if not, in the future shows. So, but no, you're right. When I looked at, I just knows that as you hire a PR staff, right? And people say how the guys like King, Aram, the early main events,
even Golden Boy,
with Kelly Swanson, those guys, they knew how to make that. But it's just becomes a thing now when you say, okay, we're going to have a fight. You're going to stick it on pay-per-view. But that now I think some of the promoters use this as a way not to pay guys, though. I mean, how do you go back?
Well, what they're doing is, and this is a different, he ain't a low-level promoter, but he does local fights here that I fought for. They cry broke. And they're saying boxing isn't making any money. But they got the casino fronting them some money. They're paying the fighters peanuts, and they're still throwing a wad of money in their pocket. And you're right. It's kind of keeping a number small, a way of tricking the fighters to fight for nothing.
For less money. And I said before, that $25 million that was made there, even the money that was
that's the gate money.
Not the gate money. And that's not sponsorships money. So if they picked up other monies off of it, like you said, either way it goes, they didn't make a ton of money. But you got to think about this. There were fights we're talking about. If a guy made under in the 90s, really early 2000s, not counting Floyd because he had the Mayweather, he had Pacquiao, and a couple of guys that helped him kind of get it. But even a couple of his didn't quite jump over, like the last didn't jump over off the radar. But the thing about it, because you need somebody. Ali needed Frazier, Foreman, Ali. You need somebody. Duran. You know what I mean?
That's a big part. I think played with them is Porter wasn't that bigger support to the fight for them to get more sales. You know what I mean?
To me, he went out and did more promotion.
He did more. Yeah, he did. He sold more. He talked more because he just got his job at PBC, and he trying to stay good with that.
Yeah,
commentator. So he won't talk. He won't talk to his fight, but like putting him up to another name. Let's say like if he would have fought to see some crazy money, Alvarez.
Oh, okay.
Well, he asked for Alvarez, but Alvarez went another direction.
Yeah, but that fight would have
been huge.
Crazy.
That's because
easy to promote. No problem.
Mexico supports. And see, that's where Floyd hurt the sport.
Right.
I think he's done a lot for fight. He's done a lot to hurt the sport, but he kind of took the easy way out. If I'm me as a black fighter, if I fight a Mexican fighter, all of Mexico's buying the fight. every time. As many of them as possible was coming to the fight. So that showed a couple other people that formula, and everybody just started going to that formula. You didn't see any of the top black fighters really fighting each other. They were all looking for a Mexican to fight again, so the promoter didn't have to promote. And even with Spence and Porter, with the way their names are, how do you get the word out there? You do 4 cities for press conferences, and then they go into training, and that's it. You don't.
And they never come back out again.
I could say years ago, and you would remember real quick. Even on the Lang City Expressway, the white was spiked, black was spiked, billboards were flooded with upcoming fights. You don't see that anymore.
You don't see that.
Well, one little kid had it going in Philly, Carter, Christian Carter.
Yeah, he got
every time he fought.
Every
time he fought, they moved him well. They advertised him well. They pushed him well. He had billboards coming all the way up down this highway, all in Philly.
Yeah, and he went to high school at St. Augustine over here in Jersey.
Right.
And he had some people that were investing some money. That was
well, see, but
right by him.
But now that's another problem. Now, people, you don't have the businessmen that are investing in boxing. And I just got and Charles Russo just sent this commercial. Sent us this note because I do want to talk. And I'm always talking about a boxers union. And he's saying there's one called the BMMAFU, but there's also one called the Boxing Organizing Committee by a group that I've been a part of for a while. But and we've been trying to get just that. And I say this because we talk about the money that was made the other night. And Marty, you can attest to this as well. The problem that I have even with the pay-per-view fights, and I think this has a lot to do with it as well. All the guys on the top, as you just said, Benavidez, and Durrell, and the other guys, they got their monies. But the guys in those 4 rounds and 6 rounders, they don't share in any of that. No. That's an issue. That's been an issue with me for 30 years in the sport of boxing, where one or 2 guys gets 50 million. You have to have so many rounds to put a show on. You cannot start a fight. Most fights don't start without the undercard. Everybody should share in those fights.
I agree. They underpay.
Mayweather De La Hoya, I was out in Vegas for. The undercard fighters were not even allowed back into the arena to watch.
Yeah, they don't. They don't. They make them sit in there and look on the monitor.
To come in and fight. Once you left the ring, they cut it off your hands. Your trainers had to exit the building.
That's right.
I said I couldn't believe it.
I seen fighters sitting in the dressing room, right? Trying to watch the fight on the monitor because I'm like, well, why you? They said, well, we don't have to. What do you mean you fought in the open? No, you are just as much as part of that show as the main event guy.
In the room doing the weigh-in.
That's the problem. That's why I say in boxing has become in that part is almost its own worst enemies because if you take a fight, why not show the whole card on television? I mean, hell, you're talking about 8 fights. All right, so it takes all evening. What to get?
Don used
to put them on, and they started at 6 o'clock, and they went all day. So why not do that? Because they don't want to pay them as part of that. And the other part of this is boxers don't get residuals. This fight they showed last Friday night, the 200,000 people or 300,000 people may have seen that. But guess what's going to happen? Showtime. Who had this fight? No, Fox had this fight. Right? Okay, excuse me about that. Sorry about that, Showtime. They're going to re-show this fight again. And guess what? They're going to get paid advertising dollars for showing this fight again.
Right. And the promoters get the rights to the fight.
But guess who's not going to get a part of the fight? The fighter. See, that's the problem that the unions and Charles, I agree with you 100%. It needs to be established more, and I think it's something that just needs to be talked about.
But on a grassroots level, the fighters are going to have to. So we talked about this when it comes to pension.
Yeah,
you got to accept that in order to fund the union or to fund the pension, a portion of your purse has to be taken. In order to fund it. Now, I think a lot of fighters. See, I'm a union.
You're a union guy, right? Okay.
So they don't understand the way pensions and unions work. That money doesn't come out of thin air.
Right.
They take a percentage of everybody's purse, and that makes the big ball of cash that they can facilitate these other things.
I think it's going to take a bunch of not just the fighters. It's going to take a bunch of promoters.
Well, initially, the promoters are going to have to
get it going.
Well, because the fighters are getting such a small piece of the pie. Initially, the promoters are going to have to front some money. But in order for to make it work, the fighters got to, especially the smaller fighters, you have to start making realistic.
You take 3%. If a guy makes $600, $1,000. Okay, you said, listen, because you're going to have to take 3% of that purse, right?
They'll give up 3% to wear an XYZ belt.
Right. Oh, yeah. So you say, okay, now, but this is coming because you're not talking about there's a fight that just about takes place somewhere every night. Am I right? I just pretty much say Tuesday to about Sunday. So when you start thinking about this, you got maybe 1,000 fighters that's putting on fights, and 3% from from that during the course. That's a lot of money,
right?
That goes into that. So that's the way you have to look at it.
Take 3% from one of these guys making $20 million a night.
But I want to. Well, we don't actually have a call-in charge. I'm sorry, not yet.
Yeah.
But we're working on. I'm sorry, guys, but we don't have a call-in charge. But we're working on that, and soon we will. We haven't quite got, but we do it. There's a way I know on Facebook that you can tune in. I don't know how to do it myself, but there's a way that you can make that work.
You can use your cell with the speaker.
You can use the cell, okay, with the speaker. Okay, well, we're going to figure that out. Yeah. But in the coming, we've been trying. We had it set up one week. It just didn't go too well. But we're going to try it again and just keep tuning in. We'll be able to talk to you. Matter of fact, we're hoping to take the network. I'm not sure whether you're on Facebook or you're on Provide, but whatever you're on, we'll have the capabilities in a little while. Again, I promise you that. But this is the thing, guys.
We'll be back.
Yeah, we'll be back. The thing about this is this: when it's going to take a law. Now, I've been talking with some politicians in Texas, guys in California, even a couple here in New Jersey, because they don't understand the way this works. I had to explain to them how, when they see this, listen, when they see these, remember, these guys are politicians. That's what they do. You got two different types of robbers. You got promoters, you got politicians. That's a joke, guys. That's a joke. But when they don't understand the game. So when they see that Mayweather is making $50 million, and Pacquiao, those guys are making that kind of money, they're assuming that all the fighters on the card are doing. And I had to explain to them,
most fighters have a job.
Yeah, they have to have a job, and they don't get a part of that money that comes to the pay-per-view. So when I started explaining that to them, they're like, "What?" I said, "So what we need is a law to have each state start to mandate that and whether it's Nevada, California, Texas, New Jersey, New York, I'm talking about where these large fights go on, there needs to be a mandated law. And I guess it's going to take a union, but the politics can override anything if they want to. It's just we have to figure out a way how does the money get divided? And I think with
professional football, basketball, they get 50% of the revenue.
50% of the revenue that comes across now. And I always say, if a man can't make out, if you can't make out for 10 million, you ain't gonna do no better with 100. So why not take it and split it? And, let everybody. And I think that'll have a lot. Then I think you will start to see more people come to the sport. I really will. Right. Football has
this respected more,
and they're respected a heck of a lot more. Yeah. So now, after that's out the way, all right, tell me, we'll start with you, Marty, because you're the guest. Who do you think really won? How did you see the fight Saturday night?
Well, I seen the fight. Good fight. I think had not been for the knockdown, I really did I had Spence winning.
Okay.
And I think the knockdown sealed it. Mm-hmm. I had him winning close. I think it could have been so close where it could have won either way. But the knockdown sealed it for him.
Okay. What about you?
I thought Spence probably won at least 7 rounds. But I still thought it was close because I thought he won razor close rounds. The margin of his win in the rounds was very slim. So when you look at the numbers at the end of the night, it looked like a big win, but you can see he was barely winning the round.
So there are 10-9 rounds is what you're saying.
They're 10-9 rounds, but almost like if you didn't really watch the round, you could have gave it to whoever.
Right.
And I thought that he didn't want to say it. He said Kell Brook was his toughest fight. I think he's crazy.
Oh, he said no.
The toughest fight you ever had was against Porter the other night. And I mean, Porter showed me something that I've never seen in him before, but also showed some vulnerability in Spence, which makes, they said Danny is next. That makes the Danny Garcia fight a lot more intriguing because I thought that Porter got Spence's attention a couple times, and Danny is definitely a bigger puncher than Porter is.
I think he did. I think he really gave us a different look of Earl Spence, the boogeyman.
Yeah.
So when he started talking at J-Rock, listen.
I don't think that's a good idea.
It's a whole different monster. Yeah. That's a whole different monster right there.
I tell you what, guys, I would have liked to seen a draw. I mean, but what I like to see don't matter. But I'm saying because the judges are there for a reason. So a fight like this, you say it's a draw, but then we needed to unify the titles, right? Mm-hmm. That we always talk about unifying the belts. Mm-hmm. So it had to be done. So somebody was going to have to win with that. And so that I'm glad it was done.
A draw would have been fair.
Yeah, a draw would have been fair.
But I got a scenario where the loss helps Porter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everybody all of a sudden talking about him now.
One thing it did, it made him a whole different. I got a whole different.
Pacquiao maybe fights him.
Yeah, I got a whole different perspective on him right now after that fight.
Okay, all right. Now you just said something. I want to get to that point too, but let me give a shout out right quick because I want to come back to now. This is El Comerciante. I probably butchered that, but that's what he says. El Comerciante. This is on Facebook. Heather, Paul, Jimmy, Edward, and my good friend Nino Buno. Nino Del Buono. We had a great time.
Nino.
We had a great time at the Jersey Joe Walk the other night. That was a great event, man. I must admit to see everybody out.
I talked to Nino this morning.
Oh, okay.
He called me this morning, and he's going to do the shows for me.
Okay. Oh, man. He can't. And he's a great promoter, too. I'm trying to tell you. Yeah. I mean, it was good because you had dignitaries that came out to support the amateur kids, first of all. And it was all about raising money for the Jersey Joe Walcott, but we had a couple of Heisman. Mike Rozelle was there, man. Heisman Trophy winners. Another NBA guy. It was just a nice event. I mean, and the Battleship, New Jersey. Hey, folks, nice. I know we talk about it, but that's a location. If you ever want to go to have something, and it's not a promotion. It's nice. And it was for a background for a fight, man. You can't beat it. Oh my God, you got the background with Philadelphia. It was fantastic. So it was a great event, and thank you for that, and you guys as well for watching and tuning in with us.
I want to ask a question.
Yes, sir. We have a question for
all right. Now, especially Julio, I want to see what he thinks about this, because I know what you probably think about it. When you're champion, everybody fights over their head when they fight you. Yes. And I think that Sean Porter felt like Errol Spence was really the champion.
Well, he came out and said that was
because of the attention that he was getting, because of the anticipation of,
He was the favorite.
Yeah, he was the favorite.
Right.
And I think that because I've seen Sean Porter fight, a couple of times on with PBC or whatever.
Yeah.
And he wasn't impressed.
Never like that.
He wasn't impressive. And
so
I think that, being a former manager, a former world champion, I know that when people get in the ring with us, they bring in everything. They bring in mama, to try to win that title. And that's what I saw in the Porter Spence fight. I saw Porter trying to prove himself that he could fight on that. To me, Porter was trying to survive. He was fighting to survive. He wasn't trying to fight to win. He was trying to fight to not get embarrassed. And he fought over his head. So I just wanted to see. That's just my personal opinion about the fight.
I think that, and I can halfway agree with you with some of that point. But I think that it got to a point that Porter thought after the fifth, he said, "I can win this fight." Yeah. That's what I believe.
No, it happened after he found out he could hit him with a straight 1-2.
Yeah.
So he said, "Oh,
I can win this."
The first time he did it, he went boom, boom, and it landed.
He
said, you can look at his face like,
"Oh, I can win.
I could do that."
Yeah. And I think so.
And he went on from there.
And you're right. It probably did start out. In fact, I'm gonna show everybody I deserve this. But I remember his fight with Adrian Broner. You're probably right because everybody picked Broner was way over his, stop him. And he went in and what he did to Broner. Got caught with, it's funny because he got caught with the same shot in the left hook. And that run in the last round they did like in this fight here. Yeah. But I want to believe this. If I'm Errol Spence manager, which of course I'm not, but if I'm Errol Spence manager and promoter, after a fight like that, I'm sure it's going to be at least 6 or 7 months before he fights again.
They got the Garcia fight set already, January 25th.
Is that one? Oh, see, so we're talking 4 months. See, now is where you start, and I think this might be a perfect opportunity. If I'm Danny, now you know this is what both you guys know. If I'm Danny, man, I just go to the gym and just train. You know why? Yes, indeed, because Errol Spence is going to have to take some time off. There's no way. He's got to. He's looking. He's
especially like, especially when I thought he had beat Porter.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you said that. That was a gift with Porter.
It definitely softened him up. For the next fight.
It showed some holes in his game. But to speak to the question you asked, I think it's a combination of things. I think Porter had an inspired camp. You can tell that. I talked about before the fight with you. Some of the things he said in his interviews, you can tell he had a chip on his shoulder. And I mean, he felt disrespected. He said, "Listen, this guy is not who y'all think he is." He said they're going into the fight. So I think Porter was in great condition and came in determined. I also agree with Marty that when he realized he was going to be able to touch Spence a lot easier than he thought, he gained confidence from that. But I think what he gained confidence for more than either of those two things is when Spence hit him and he realized he could deal with his power. Because after the second round, you seen he just started coming in reckless. He wasn't even worried about getting hit. So he said, "Man, I can take this shot."
Really, I think that was part of his defense. To come in like that, so he didn't have to stand a chance of being out there. Right, he had to stay close,
but the way
he made it rough.
Yeah.
And he made it an ugly fight. There was a whole lot of headbutting. There was a whole lot of, but what I have to say is this man did exactly what he had to do to give himself the best chance he had to win the fight.
Right.
And Spence can say all he wanted. I wanted to stay there and fight him and be there for him.
No, he
himself a really good favor to develop a jab, get on the outside, and step around Paul. And he better learn how to do that before
now,
he fight
this is what I think. I think if Porter had used his jab more often, he had a chance. He did the first 2 rounds. It's just that he got out of that because, like you said, he got to the point that I think I can win this fight.
But I think he's seen that he was making Earl uncomfortable going back.
Yeah, going back.
So and he heard his father tell him in the corner, push him back.
Yeah.
And so I think he just got caught up in the one, instead of making adjustments round and round, he found one thing that he felt was working and stuck with it. Earl's a world-class fighter. After 8, 9 rounds of that, you see in the 11th round, he was able to time him and clip him with a straight left hand.
It was no joke.
So, I mean, that was a mistake Porter made, I think, not making any adjustments.
I think that was an exchange that would have happened any time in a fight that he would have made that exchange with him. He would have got that off. Yeah. Because he never did it.
Yeah.
He never did. That's the first time he opened up for that shot.
Busy worried about what was
coming in. Right. Right. And he coming in protecting himself.
He wasn't exchanging. He was waiting till Porter got done firing, and then he was fired.
Yeah.
But one of our callers on viewers on Provide is saying they figured Atlantic City is going to be coming back, and that's what we're talking about. It's on the way. And I listen. If I'm the promoters for that fight, January 25th, right? That's 1 week before Super Bowl. Probably what I would do. I mean, I'd move it back to Super Bowl weekend because that gives you something to play off on along with that.
That's tough though, but so many people go to the city that the Super Bowl's in who's not even going to the Super Bowl because it's a week of festivities. So that's a big thing to compete with.
But see, this is not. But see, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of history though.
Okay.
We've had a couple of world title fights that was held the nights before, and they surrounded them around. Joe Frazier, not the same city. It's just in the same location. But what you have to do is you have to find if you're Atlantic City, say, let's say, because I'm pushing Atlantic City for this fight. There's 2 reasons that you got a betting line here now. You know, we got the gambling going. So
Danny's 45 minutes away.
Danny's 45 minutes away. Errol Spence needs, even though he's fought, I think he's fought in New York a couple of times, right at the what's that place?
I'm not sure if he fought at the Barclays.
Yeah, see, okay, well, that's what I mean. So he needs an area.
He's been Texas, California,
Vegas. Right? Now, Puerto Rico, population, New York, Philadelphia, New Jersey. Yeah, they're here. Right. They're going to support Danny. And then on top of that, same way, Errol's going to get his people from, there's going to be people from Philly, New York, and Jersey that's going to support. That's a big fight. But I understand the size of the crowd, but 12, 13,000 people, we can do that here. Right. You know, I think it can be done, even if it's, what you say, convention center. But if we can do that. Now, if I'm Hard Rock, Bernie Dillon, who's there, right? They, of course, they have Marquette Arena, not that big. But if I'm Frank Gilliam, who's the mayor here, Larry Hazard, works with the guys at PBC, he's commissioned. I think if there's anybody that could try to figure out a way to talk to people, can do that. Like I said, I'll call Derek. I'm going to tell Derek, hey, man, push for AC.
East Coast doesn't know anything about Errol Spence.
No, nothing about Errol Spence. You bring that fight here, promote that thing right, you'll have Boardwalk out for it. Right. It won't be. And we need, because we've been starved for a bigger fight. Danny hasn't fought. I don't know if Danny's ever fought here, unless he's doing it, coming up. I don't know. Yeah. But I know he's fought in Philly. He fought who was that? Matisse and Matisse and Matisse.
He came to the fight here. Matisse.
That's right.
Matisse fought
Lamar Peterson. Knocked Peterson out of the cold.
Oh man!
I thought that's Danny. That's when Garcia proved to me, because I'm serious. After I saw Matisse knock out Peterson, I said he's gonna wipe the floor with Danny.
I thought so too. But that's another time I think when guys do themselves a disservice by insulting the guy they're going to fight. Everybody wrote Danny off. I think that gave him an incentive. And I said the same thing about Sean Porter last week when I saw his interview. It was like, once you make a guy feel that disrespected, Ivan Robinson, they come in like, it's almost like when you were a kid. What you say about my mother? You fight with a little extra incentive, and I think that helped him.
Well, I want to see, it's a thing of now, and it's okay, he's going to Garcia now. Where does Porter go? But then beyond that, we got the rest of this
very intriguing.
It's intriguing.
Porter coming off a loss.
Yes.
Pacquiao may think it's prime time to fight him.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think
Pacquiao want that fight.
You don't think so? Okay, but wait a minute.
I think he has a big ego.
I think he might have seen something with that fight and might want to fight Spence now.
Would it be okay? But would you say Spence or Crawford though?
I think what they're trying to do. If I could pick promoters' brains, the people who calling the shots, those guys just got $2 million apiece, which means he's not that big of a star to put him in there with Pacquiao yet. They're trying to build it. So Danny Garcia is a little bit bigger of a star than Spence or Porter right now on paper. Even though they're ahead of him, he has a big following. Yeah, I believe so they said, we'll go fight Danny. They hope to beat Danny. That may make him a $5-6 million a night fighter.
Then you got to make
then you got Crawford.
Right.
Now, again, Crawford's another fight. They don't want to fight Crawford for $2 million. They want that to be a mega fight. Hopefully,
Crawford doesn't want $2 million.
Hopefully Crawford gets somebody big name in the interim. So I think what they're doing, I think with Porter losing, kind of created the best business situation because hopefully Pacquiao looks at him as somebody like, he just coming off a loss. I can beat him. Yeah. But if he doesn't beat him, beating Pacquiao makes Porter a really big fight. Then, maybe he fights the winner of Spence and Garcia, but it kind of worked out in a way where you brought Pacquiao back into it and you're trying to put some money into it. So when you make these Spence Pacquiao or Spence Crawford, they're mega fights instead of just barely a pay-per-view fight.
Okay, but then why don't you do this? Pacquiao's pretty independent, correct? Mm-hmm. All right. Danny and the rest of the guys are under PBC.
No, Pacquiao's under PBC too.
Is Pacquiao okay? He's without Heyman. Okay, well now, so why not do a doubleheader?
You can do a tournament. You
bring Pacquiao in here because you bring Pacquiao in
here.
Right? Yep.
Lloyd Hunnigan.
Why not bring both of those guys? Now you talking about guarantees? Yeah. Well, now instead of maybe they'll guarantee a little bit more money because I think Pacquiao is going to bring you 300,000 or 400,000 just by himself. You can fight me, I think, and bring that type of people in. Yeah. So now you got a crowd that's going to. Then you're going to bring a crowd in to wherever you hold the event. Yeah. That's why I say
you can do one of these football stadiums like they did with
ready to go in the RFK Stadium with him and the Boogeyman. The Boogeyman. But I mean, so that's what I mean. Sometimes the promoters and the television people, they have to take the chances in order to get the fans into this game, and that's what it's time to do now. Take the chance. If you're going to build this sport up like it's supposed to be, take the chance. You get a big voice. You get people that's going to come out. People are going to come from everywhere to see it. Pacquiao brings people in. The Philippine community, they come from his country and support different parts of the world, rather, and support him. You bring him in. You bring a Garcia in. You bring a Spence in here. You bring Porter in here. Even if you did them, you know what? I think if you did a 3-night where they fought different people, you could still do the same thing.
Yeah, because you at least get to see them.
You get to see them out, and that's what's now. You talked about with Peterson. They did that with Peterson and Matisse. That was somebody else was on that card that they had. It was Broner. Yeah, Adrian Broner. And I mean, that
was a big card.
That was a big card here
in Atlantic City. We didn't show up.
Nobody showed up, but it wasn't promoted like it should have been. That's
because Golden Boy got here 2-3 days before the fight. Put on the fight and left. You got to have people on the ground here for a week, 2 weeks, pushing the fight. You got to go to little local radio stations. You got to do meet and greets. And if you're not going to be here, Golden Boy, the whole time, or whatever big promoter wants to come in, you need to hire some local guys that can co-promote and make sure they got feet on the ground.
And we got them right here. So, and we got them right here. Now, okay, so that's the opinion on that one. Now, Benavidez, and I heard this before it ever took off. Benavidez and Darrell. I heard people say that Darrell wouldn't show up for this fight. He talked a good fight, but he wasn't going to show up for the fight.
I thought he was fighting well.
What do you think about the fight?
I thought Darrell was fighting well. I think he was doing something that if you don't really watch boxing, you didn't catch. But he was digging a nice jab into the pit of Benavidez's stomach that Benavidez didn't like. He actually stopped fighting one of the times he hit him. And I think if he could have been able to sustain that for a couple more rounds, it could have gotten interesting. He couldn't, and I picked Benavidez to beat him easy too. So I was, this goes against what I thought. But I think if he could have sustained what he was doing for a couple more rounds, it would have been interesting. But of course, older fighters cut a little easier. It was a bad cut, so I think that changed. He definitely stopped fighting after the cut. But prior to the cut, I thought he was doing some nice things. He wasn't winning, but he was putting some money in the bank for later.
What do you think?
Well, I think it went just the way it went. That's the way I thought it was going to go. I thought the young youth was going to take over. Mm-hmm. You know, he's going to hold on for as long as he could. I didn't give him the late rounds with that kid.
Yeah,
the kid.
No, I didn't predict it going in neither.
Yeah,
but I thought he did some good stuff.
His youth, his reach, his power.
He was a bigger, stronger guy.
Yeah, he's a bigger, stronger guy. All the stuff that he did to that kid, just flamed him up.
Yeah.
All he did was flame him up to turn it on. He probably was acting like he wanted to let him hang around a couple of rounds early on.
Yeah.
And then he just decided, well, look, I'm just gonna get rid of him.
Give some work and get it over. Yeah. The cut was that bad. You know, somebody made a comment.
His whole eye.
Yeah, and somebody made a comment that
he posted a video the next day and literally.
Well, see, someone made a comment.
Put a finger in there.
Someone made a comment, and this is funny. I should say that because they said Tyson Fury fight, right? A couple of weeks before that, same type of cut. I mean, I seen Fury's cut. Oh my Lord!
Had they stopped that though, they were messing up the money.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. So, what did they save one? You know what I mean? Because
Darrell's body language didn't look like he wanted to fight anymore,
and that's what somebody said.
It wasn't just
that's what made the fight.
Yeah, no, it wasn't just a cut.
Okay.
He was
tired.
Overwhelmingly beaten. Yeah, that kid was hitting him all over. Them shots hurt. Yeah, I'm talking about from the body to the head.
And that's where they stopped. He went into a shell. And they didn't really stop.
Get hurt.
No.
You know what I mean?
Or lose your eye.
Yeah. But to people that said it, well, you know,
it's a good stop.
Hasn't showed up since, you know, it's been 3 years now. And
Tyson Fury, tall, reach.
Yeah.
You kind of protect that cut a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit better. And their numbers weren't great out there in Vegas for the Tyson Fury fight. When we talk about the heavyweights now, is that they only did about 3,500 people out there stapled at that, what's it called? The Thomas and Maxim, it's called something else. And that's named after one of those televisions. I mean, the phone companies now.
We talked about it before the fight. Who's Otto Wallet?
Yeah. You know, I thought it was someone.
You didn't know? I didn't know.
Yeah, something like someone on your phone, Auto Dialing. Yeah. I mean, that's what you thought about. But I mean, all right. So now, and we got Ruiz, and because we're talking rematches, and we're talking about Tyson Fury, because that fight's probably now any fight he has is going to be off a year because the cut is that bad. I don't see him fighting for. And
Tyson, Ortiz and Wilder.
You got Ortiz and Wilder. They finally made that. The press conference was today. Mm-hmm. Now, how much can they get? How much can you get out of Ortiz a second time? Being an older fighter, since you speak about an older, but how much can you get out of him a second time?
Man, he's full of fire. It's going to be hard to stop him.
You think so?
Oh yeah. It's like my honest opinion is I don't care where he fight Joshua. His style is made for him.
No. We're talking about Wilder and Ortiz.
Oh, Wilder and Ortiz. Yeah.
Okay, Wilder and Ortiz. Oh, all right.
I'm gonna come back and get you on that one too. But we're gonna talk about that one.
Okay. You got to give Wilder props, man. He calls these guys back. These guys is real gangsters in the ring. You know what I mean? This day time they do, and he calls them right back for a rematch or whatever, man. Yeah, I got Wilder. I think Wilder does it destroy.
Can Ortiz give him a fight?
I think if Ortiz was going to beat him, he had to do it the first time. He's 2-3 years older now. He was an old man the first time.
Yeah, 37.
He's 2-3 years older. I think there was some controversy in the first fight. Obviously, I think he had Wilder going. And they let Wilder get the 1 minute break between rounds, and then after that, gave him about another 30, letting the doctor come up and look at his eye when he didn't have a cut.
Right.
But I think it had to happen for Ortiz that night. It's one of those. He's going to be one of those guys that near misses, because I think Father Time is catching up with him. And you know, what I mean, Wilder may have improved since that fight, and just by sheer living, you know what I mean, and getting older. Ortiz would have to decline some. So I think he kind of misses opportunity.
It's that big right hand of Wilder's to me that just makes him, regardless of where, even if you have him as an underdog against anybody, that big right hand of him just kind of.
And he used to loop it. His last fight, he threw it. He put it right on the rope. He's gonna be throwing it off the chin like that.
And Mark's been trying to get him to throw that shot.
I feel for everybody.
Yeah, Breedl's been trying to get him to throw that shot too. So I mean, maybe I think, but I think it's because Brazil was up here. And I think
Brazil's a sucker for a straight right hand
anyway, because he fought the other kid. Yeah, tailor-made for that.
But the way he threw it, you showed.
Yeah,
they've been in the gym working on that because he's never threw a right hand.
I've been trying to get him to do that for a long time. Now, that's your question. Speaking of going back to Philadelphia, where's Brian Jennings in this whole thing?
Wow.
I mean, I don't tell me because I haven't seen his name pop up lately.
I think Father Time was caught up with him too, and I love him. Actually, I just seen him. I went to
He lost his last fight, right?
Yeah.
Did he?
Last couple.
Yeah. I didn't know.
I got stopped in his last one.
Yeah,
I actually just saw him while I was up eating
like the last
place in Philly. He came through on one of those 3-wheel motorcycles.
Okay. Well, he put up with such, the fight with Klitschko. I got to give him credit. I thought he'd get blown out in that fight. But, and I don't know whether it was because of the thing with Klitschko was kind of, was going down the slip side too as well. But I thought Brian had showed a lot of, he's not the biggest heavyweight, of course.
He don't have any race. He's not a big puncher. He was fighting through attrition and throwing a lot of shots. Athlete who threw a whole lot of punches. But again, as you get older, that's one of the first things you use. The bigger punches, I think, can last a little longer.
Yeah.
They take a beat,
take a
turn that power.
But
I think with him, he's an undersized heavyweight, late guy to the game. He doesn't have that 30 years of experience where he can fight guys from here.
Yeah, not much of it.
So I don't see him really competing on a top level anymore. And I would rather see him retire than become like a gatekeeper type for the little younger guys that come up and pick on.
Now, Joshua Ruiz, that's this May, December 7th. Same thing. I think you and I talked about that, but that's in a daytime fight. that's a pay-per-view fight.
Saudi
and
Arabia.
I want to promote it because that's part of my show. We're gonna have the closed circuit that night.
Okay.
We know everybody's gonna miss it that day.
Okay. Now, but how do you see the fight though? I think you just made a comment
on it, man, and I'm gonna repeat it, man. I don't think nothing gonna stop that kid, man. He got a taste of some money now, so it's gonna be hard for him to go back in to change the clothes out the trunk.
But he hasn't been, this is the thing about it. Now, I'm not saying this now before, but he's not in the gym. He hasn't been in the gym, and he's been in there for a couple of days and then back out. And the fight's 2 months away now? November, basically 2 months away. I guess he feels he can be ready. He's not going to try to go in looking like Mike Weaver, like we talked last time. No. He's not going to have the Hercules body, regardless of how much time he takes. So
he was a replacement last time.
Yeah, for Baby Miller. What happened to Baby Miller?
He was training for a fight.
He just had a fight. No, he just had a fight.
He was training for a fight.
Yeah, he was getting ready for another.
Right.
Yeah, he just had one, and that because I think Andy Lee, they had a couple of fighters. Michael Hunter was one of the guys that had been mentioned. They had a few guys that was mentioned, but from a record standpoint, I think it's still best to put him in. And he took advantage of that.
Luis Ortiz turned it down, probably because he knew he had Wilder coming up.
Yeah. And my thing is that if you're Ortiz, if you're Joshua, okay, you're not fighting home again. You on the road again, so you have no advantage anymore. Maybe he has a better advantage over that way closer to the UK, flight wise and stuff like that. People can come, but here you're in America. You're fighting an Mexican. I'm not sure what he was because I've heard he was Mexican and moved here. Then I heard he was.
I think he was born in California. But his parents are Mexican.
Mexican. So does that make him Mexican? You know what I mean? Is he American? I don't know what he is, but at the same time, historically, they like the fact that he was the first Mexican to win a heavyweight champion. So having won that now, but he comes in with a fight with a reason to say I want to keep the belt. Because his vision should be on. It hasn't by that time. He want
to make sure everybody knows it wasn't a fluke.
Right.
But what we discussed last week was that the only chance that he had to lose the fight. I agree with you. Stylistically, Joshua can't beat a guy that can put 2-3 punches together. And Ruiz, contrary to the way he looks, is a quick combination puncher at heavyweight. Yeah. So I don't see Joshua learning how to deal with that. But what we was talking about, Ruiz seemed to be on his celebrity tour. He looked like he gained 50, 60 pounds. He's buying mansions. He's buying Rolls Royces. You know what I mean? So I'm just hoping he didn't get so used to the good life like Bo did after beating Holyfield the first time that he comes in unprepared. Because if he comes in unprepared, that may give Joshua a little bit of room he needs to finish him off if he hurt his
he need all the help he can get.
But if he doesn't, of course, I think he blows through Joshua this time because I think he figured him out.
Yeah.
But I am worried, like I said, because he is on, social media a whole lot. He's been on television a lot, and none of the things he's been doing on any of those platforms have lent themselves to preparing for a fight.
Right.
So, I worry about him in that way. But stylistically, if he comes in at his best, I think he beats Joshua 10 times out of 10. I agree with you.
Okay. Now, all right. Well, look, that was a lot. That was a lot. James, Marty, again.
Again.
Tell us more about your show. You're coming up.
Well, December the 7th, coming up. I'm landing. I don't have it sealed yet, but the Mighty Rock may be my main event.
Oh, wow.
I'm working on it now.
Okay.
I have my peoples working on it as we speak. And Rasheem Brown from Philadelphia, one of my up and comings, 4-0. Yeah, 4-0. And got a couple more new kids coming in. We're saying their names shortly. I gotta wait till I get them on the contract.
Okay. That's Showboat.
At
right?
the Showboat.
Now,
at the Showboat.
So if people want to, they go to the James Shula Memorial Boxing Gym website.
Right, that's
They
right.
can contact you there, and you'll have ticket information and flyers and stuff out after a while.
All that information is going to come through Marty Shula's LLC.
Okay.
And I'll be having it out.
And you'll be back here with us.
Yeah, I'll be back here with you.
You'll be back with us on a regular basis too to talk about the show.
Yeah.
Julio, he was 50-50. No, I guess he's 100 because he did. Benavidez would win. Then Spence did win, but he said a knockout. So I'm gonna hold that against
I didn't get the knockout.
Yeah, he didn't get the knockout.
I get 75%.
But, James, I have to ask you this, talk about this, because it was special to me, and you and I had this conversation about your brother.
Right.
And I know it's a touchy subject, but tell us about, James and the evening that because you told me about this before.
Right.
But tell us about what happened, because that's a question. But tell us how did all that go down as far as you.
Before it even happened, when the fight was first set, the only thing was on his mind was he was getting paid $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
And with $1 million, there's 5 boys and 1 girl. You all stuck in the same house.
Yeah, I know that.
So, he was so happy till he wanted to buy everybody something.
Okay.
So his first thing was for all the boys, he was gonna buy all of us a motorcycle. Mm-hmm. So he was the only one keen on the motorcycle. I tell him, nah, I don't want no motorcycle. You can give me a car.
Mm-hmm.
My brother would say the same thing. My other brother say the same. So then he said, all right, well, I'm gonna get my bike. What is it? 9 days. We ain't been home 9 days after the fight. After he lost to Tommy Hearn.
Mm-hmm.
He went and bought that bike, and I watch him come out the store with it. Early in the morning, come get me. And he come out the store with it, and it's a Ninja. I think the Ninjas just came out around that time. They just came out. I think a baseball player might have got killed on the bike or something.
Mm-hmm. What year was this, guys? Huh?
This was 86.
86.
Mm-hmm. 86. Okay. Yeah. And
they had another Philly fight a few years later, same way.
Right, another Philly fight. Right.
USA Boxing.
Andre Prophet.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I seen he jump on the bike, man. He buys the bike, and that was the last time I seen him go down the highway.
So you left the store,
and by the time I got to my house, after I left the motorcycle store.
So it was the same day he bought it.
Yeah, same day. He leave off the motorcycle shop now, and I'm behind him in my car, going down Broad Street. By the time I turn off and go to my house, when I walk in my house, there's a phone ringing, and that phone call was, James is dead.
Ooh.
You know what that done to me?
Yeah, I can't imagine.
I just left him.
Yeah.
Took him to get the bike.
Took him to get the bike, and he took off. And that's the last time I seen him when he skied off with the bike. He came back. Now, when the accident happened, that nasty when they called us, we ran there. And still laying there with the truck wrapped around him, at the bottom of the truck. With the helmet on. Never forget. I could never forget it. It's in me forever. So that's why Black Gold Promotion is my entertainment company. It's named after him, James Black Gold Shula. And he will always be a part of my life and my boxing.
Wow. I couldn't imagine. Heck of a story.
Wow. Yeah.
Tough.
When, the thing about is that when guys get records like that, especially, like I say, coming from a place like Philadelphia, what is that saying? That's small, right?
Edward Martinez, Tito Uncaged shows him in shape.
Okay. Oh, talking about, they talking about Joshua.
Okay.
I mean, Ruiz now.
Christopher is my son who verified it. location, Texas or
December.
Texas, December. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, all right. But I have to, it's like you shared that with me before.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I said, it's one of those tragedy things, but sometimes out of tragedy comes a little light. I can't imagine because you like you say, you just left him.
Right.
So to left that, and I couldn't imagine, you're thinking anything but that because this is the good part of your life now. Like you say, you made $1 million and probably on the way to make a few more million.
That's right.
So
That's right.
you see the life, because I know what it's like when 5 or 6 of us sleeping in one bed. We grew up the same way too.
But you got to really understand, that's $1 million in 86.
86. Yeah,
that's
that ain't the day.
That's
gallon of gas is
You know,
75 cents.
Right,
Yeah, that's right.
Cost of living was way different.
You could buy you a nice house for $60,000.
I being a kid, and my dad telling me if you get $1 million, you're set for
You're
life.
for life.
Set for life.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, you could buy a house for $50,000, $60,000, brand new house
In Pleasantville, New Jersey, $20,000.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Well, that was, and a lot of people, even to this day, they mentioned James. That was a reward. They have an award.
Yeah.
That every year, and so I mean, it's one of those things that the tragedy, but it made you, become the person you did because you kept that in your heart, and him and the love for your brother in your heart. But I know that I like for people to hear that story only because you didn't give up in your life.
That's right.
Because some people that would just destroy them to say that I took my brother. And you understand. Because
it was hard. It was hard, but it made me stronger.
Yeah.
We trained together. Me and him lived together more than anybody in my family.
Mm-hmm.
We traveled together. He had 196 amateur fights. I had 176 amateur fights.
Okay.
And everywhere we went all over the world together, traveling. We was on Joe Frazier team. We fought Foreman.
That's
team.
right. Sure
Before Ali team.
Yeah, sure.
We fought everybody team
Texas
together.
guys,
Robert
sure
Hines was on the team with us. And forever, Black Gold gonna be here.
Okay. Well, and we're gonna be here to help you promote these shows. We look forward to everybody, to the fighters and the people from Philly coming down to
Rodney Brooks, get in shape.
I appreciate it. Come out and support.
And he'll be back only a few times before the show goes on. And we'll have people, because the thing about having these two guys here, especially this one right here, because he's young, he thinks he knows it all. Anyway, and he knows a lot though, because now people tell me, one of the guys
he
told
knows
me,
he know what he's talking
one
about.
of the guys actually walked up to me at the that sees that watches it on the kitchen on Facebook. I wish I'd gotten his name, but he said, "Man, that young kid on there." I said, "Who you talking about?" I said, "Oh, I said, me." He said, "No." He said, "But no, man, he really knows his boxing." That's a compliment, man. Right. So I got 2 compliments on that. So, so it's a good thing about that. So anyway, we want to thank you for tuning in this week. We'll be back here, good Lord willing, next week, and we thank Marty for driving down from Philly and hanging out with us. Julio, as always. But
and support Marty.
Yeah, support Marty.
Casino they gave him an 8-10 fight deal.
10 fight deal.
Stop complaining about us not having boxing if y'all not gonna come out and buy tickets. I told y'all this last week. I'm gonna keep telling you.
And that's buy
the ticket. Don't ask for a hookup.
That's right. Look at it like this, guys. We're planting flowers in the field. You want to see them grow, you gotta water them. Okay, so come out, put some water on these by buying some of these tickets, supporting these young guys. Thank you for tuning in. And as always, we'll see you at the fights.
Marty, do you know Jamil Wilson?
Jamil, yeah.
Because he used Black Gold.
He used Black Gold, yeah.
We fought on the same card before. That's my guy.